I'm so shocked by the overwhelming prices to get married. Like, seriously, it's just insane. Okay, listen carefully and please be my guest on the comment section. A Chinese father recently took social media to express his frustration over the unexpectedly high cost of his son's wedding, sparkling widespread debate on the growing financial burden of Chinese marriage or marriage in China. The father, who had initially accepted the traditional bride price Li of 188,000 yuan, approximately 26,000 USD, and some gold jewelry expenses, was left in shock after receiving a detailed wedding expense list from his future daughter-in-law. Oh my God. The father shared his concerns in an online post, lamenting how what should have been a joyous occasion had instead become a source of great stress. I was really happy when my son finally decided to get married, he wrote. The bride's family initially asked for 188,000 yuan as a bride price, plus some gold jewelry, which I felt was reasonable. But last night, my future daughter-in-law handed me a wedding expense list. When I saw it, I almost fainted. The expense breakdown was totaling 700,000 with 709,594 yuan, approximately 98,000 USD, included a wide range of items from traditional customs to luxury additions. And here we can see the list is in Chinese. Nonetheless, I'm gonna share it with you all. And the total here of, you can see clearly, the 700,000. Oh my God. Anyways, among the listed expenses were wedding planning 5,000, photography 800, makeup artist 1,500. Well, it's 1,588. Wedding Photoshop 8,880. Engagement ring 16,800, 5 gold jewelry pieces 56,000, parental respect money 20,000, bride's car exit fee 6,666, red dowry suitcase 300, door blocking game 400, bride's new clothes 2,000, groom's new clothes 800, clothes for both parents 4,000, wedding house decoration 1,000, 4 bedding sets 3,200, wedding shoes 600, groom suits 2,000, brides 4 wedding dresses. Okay, the groom is just using 1 suit, but the bride is using 4 in order to take pics and all that jazz, you know. 4 wedding dresses 2,800, which I don't think it's expensive at all compared to the West. 4 best men's suits, 800. By the way, all this is in Chinese renminbi. 4 bridesmen's dresses, 800. Bride's family wedding banquet, 10 tables times 1,888 is 18,880. Groom's family wedding banquet, 20 tables times 1,888. 37,760. Best men and bridesmaids 3,200. Wedding scar, 8 vehicles 4,500. Cigarettes, alcohol, and wedding candies 46,800. Hotel accommodation 2,400. Bride price dowry 1,888. 100,088, just as accorded previously. New car 280,000. I'm so confused, you know. Anyways, the total is 709,594 yuan. I don't even know if I'm spelling all this right. Anyways, the father's complaints quickly went viral, with netizens divided over whether such expenses were justified. Many sympathized with him, arguing that the rising cost of marriage have placed unnecessary financial strain on families. Marriage should be about love, not about spending nearly 1 million yuan, one user commented. The bride's family is asking for too much. If they truly care about their daughter's happiness, they wouldn't put such a heavy burden on the groom's family, which I also kind of agree, because some, like, you know, brides are very aware of the family roots or family background or family situation, to the point of like not even being that compassionate regarding leaving the family with not much after the wedding, you know. I mean, in some instances, of course, it's quite acceptable whenever he's ultra rich and all that. Just even 1 million is not nothing for them. But if it's not the case, then he will have to borrow money or, you know, just take out from his savings. Nowadays, weddings feel more like a business transaction rather than a celebration of love. However, others defended the bride's family, pointing out that traditional customs and social expectations in China often dictate such expenses. This is not just about the wedding. The money ensures the bride has financial security and a comfortable life after marriage. If you can afford it, don't get married. The bride's family likely spent a lot on raising their daughter too. This is a cultural norm. If you want to marry a good woman, you need to prove you can provide for her. Oh my god, I kind of agree with some of the comments, but I mean, you have to agree with also putting yourself on the shoes of the other person, because like you have to see where do they stand, you know. Let's read some of the comments, and I'd love to read your comments too, so please leave them down in the comment section. Okay, so first, now I ain't saying she is a gold digger. Thanks for speaking out the damn truth that many women in China mean to hide the name of love. Chinese fathers dedicate their lives to earn money, only to spend it on their son's wedding. This practice raises questions of fairness. Shouldn't these men, but they wanted to have sons, so like they shouldn't have get rid of their daughters, and nowadays they shouldn't be like under this burden. Am I not right, guys? Because you know there was a period in China where the one child policy, you were not having the choice of like having more than one child. So therefore, if your daughter was born, if your child was born daughter, you will get rid of her in order to have a second chance to have a son. But if those people in that period didn't get rid of all these girls, they shouldn't be under that much stress. So it's kind of your fault, you know, for those of you that did so. Maybe that's a little bit part of karma, which I don't want to be mean, but I kind of think doing such practices was super cruel, and now you have to pay the price of it, or the consequences, better said. And paying 1 million is not even close to getting rid of a baby, you know? What do you guys think regarding that? Okay, these practices raises questions of fairness. Shouldn't these men be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor in their later years? Perhaps it's time to reconsider these customs instead of placing the financial burden solely on the older generation. Couples could be encouraged to save and pay for their own weddings. Relying on parents for such expenses can feel akin to a student who hasn't prepared expecting to coast by on the efforts of another. And wow, there are so many different answers to this comment, but let's go to another one because sad to see a son old enough to get married but can contribute to his own wedding. Maybe the son was too busy saving the astronomical amount needed to buy a house. Do you have any idea how much 1 renminbi is? Then after 7 years they divorce and the girl gets everything, apartment and cars without counting money. It has to be said, the lion, the witch, and the audacity of this bitch. I mean, yes, but in a way, I cannot just act and comment like a foreigner here because I really get to understand the Chinese culture. And since more and more divorces are happening all around the world, especially China too, then girls are tending or like just really trying to be more cautious about their marriage, just safety, So they are less and less, I mean, some of them are more and more careless about the bride price because they just gonna get married, and they are just having the foreign mind or like the Western mindset of love, and not really tzali and all these traditions of gold, house, savings. But many of them are opposite. They are really caring a lot on how will their future be, looking around their friends and maybe family getting divorced because of like infidelity and such matters. So they don't really how to say, they just act very cold towards this issue. It's not like, wow, she's so many times, I'm not saying this specific case or all of them, but so many times all of them are not considered like gold diggers upon my own self, but they are raised with these standards. And the thing is, like, it's just a matter of the country's unbalanced situation. If there were enough females for men, then, or more than enough, this situation would not be happening, just like in Mexico. I am from Mexico, by the way, guys, if you haven't noticed. And here we have the opposite. In my city, Guadalajara, one of the cities that supposedly owns the most beautiful woman, like in Mexico, that's what they say. And I really do think so. Although many of them are already post-surgery beauties. The thing is, like, supposedly there are 6 females for every male. So the situation or the problem is just completely opposite, whereas women will be almost paying for a man to be with them because there are so little men left, apart from the aspect that there's so many gays in Guadalajara that there's just so little options left. No wonder I'm single, yeah? No, anyways, so this is the thing, and many women are willing to just lower their standards because there are just a few choices compared to China, whereas like there are so many men for very few girls because of what they did in the past. So this country is just unbalanced, and of course with that unbalance comes little problems, and then bigger problems, and then it's just a very big problem, Anyways, this is what I think and what is facts. Let's continue. Yeah, like they will divorce. Many people is divorcing. I mean, in the past few years, people will not divorce because they will be just left with no face. Like in China, it's very important to have face. And you will be criticized by your family, friends, and you will be just left over, I guess. Just like now, you are left over if you are over 27. And it was not an option, It was not a choice. But nowadays, just like anywhere around the world, women have this kind of courage to just walk away from a relation that is not respecting them anymore, where in China it happens so often, like it's like males entertainment industry is just so overwhelming that is super common, that there are many cheaters, infidelity, etc. So nowadays they don't feel that shame anymore. They don't care no more if they're gonna lose face. They just choose for themselves and they just leave their relationship. So it's quite common that this happens. Yeah, why not? Also, the other thing is like, because many men are super busy doing business, they just really leave the woman, the wife, on care, like they don't pay attention to her anymore. So therefore she will try to find that attention somewhere else. Anyways, sometimes the so-called wedding customs are popularized by the vendors. What is the point in spending so much on wedding where you can use the money for a more comfortable life? Looking at the expenses as well, I am not surprised if the red packet collected during the wedding dinner goes to the bride's family. Okay, if you can afford it, don't get married. Why are so many young people not getting married? Now I understand. Yeah, exactly. That's the answer. Okay, this is way too much. Our wedding was very nice at less than 10,000, so I guess it's USD. But throwback, a big percent of the 700,000 RMB was stopped for the groom and his family, plus the bride price they already agreed on. If she's a good maid, she will be open to reasonable negotiations. Rubbish! I would rather stay single than get a loan to marry someone with no manners, can't cook, lack regards, not a virgin, always want to have her way, won't respect me, and can decide to divorce at any time, then after divorce still share the property. These customs are slavery. Stay single, guys. They need you more than you need them. Well, and I mean, it can happen to that extent that guys now are choosing to stay single, and maybe for the next generation, but this generation is gonna be gone with single guys and single ladies, or like, as you call them, spire, or like how the Chinese call them, like leftover. And that's it for this generation. It's over. So we will have to check up on the next generation and see what happens. And I'm part of this generation. I wouldn't marry a woman who is a spendthrift. If it was me, I would have been out at a bride price. I don't buy women. You know, there is this issue about so many foreign men thinking like, if there is a bride price, you are buying woman. This happens in many cultures, not just China, also Indonesia. I'm not sure whether in Japan or not, or Korea, but it happens in so many Asian cultures. And I don't think it's buying a woman. It has to do with culture. So I would not agree with this comment because I lived in China for like a lot of years, like over 10 years, and I really understand what is a bride price. So I'm not on agree with this comment, but I do understand that so many men take it that way. So if it was me, I would have been out at the bride price. I don't buy women, and the wedding would come in under 5,000. And yes, I can afford the wedding in the story, but I don't throw money out the window. That's stupid. That's ridiculous, especially where people constantly cheat on each other. Okay, there is this guy, I am guessing maybe it's a foreigner, just had my wedding yesterday, and it's things like this that makes me somewhat glad I didn't marry a Chinese girl. Understandably, not every girl or their families are the same, but the expectations are somewhat ridiculous in China. My wife and I spent around 50,000 RMB total, including hotel rooms for our families, and organized some of the decoration ourselves. We had 100 guests and everyone loved it. We also split the cost. Marriage is supposed to be a union. I'm not sure. Okay, in Mexico, the tradition is that the woman's father will pay for the wedding, but I'm just not a 50-50 woman here, so I don't know. In regards to the wedding, I am not really having any requisites or standards. I just wish my after-wedding life will be great and amazing, no matter the wedding. Even though for the wedding, I have always wanted a very discreet, I don't even want a party, like just me and the groom to get married and just have an amazing life. I don't really like to boast about it or publish or like anything in social media, like, oh my God, look at all this fancy stuff. But yeah, everyone has their own, I guess, desires and dreams, but that is just not one of mine. Calling this a red flag is a huge understandment. Run for the hills, youth. My wedding was around 50,000 RMB in the US. I bought my dress of Taobao and bought our ring and everything in the US. The main cost was the reception at the restaurant. If you are marrying someone, it should be for love, not for a dowry, house, or a car. If you can afford, go ahead and spend. If not, have a simpler wedding ceremony. Why do you want to stress yourself when the wedding event is over? Everything will have to be borne by the couple. It's two persons living life together. If they want divorce. So what are your thoughts regarding this one, guys? I just gave already my cup of tea. I'm not in the, how to say, I'm not that kind of woman that will expect a super expensive wedding, but I will like a super expensive life. And I'm not really talking just about a lifestyle, but a very abundant life in regarding to like spend time in nature, have traveling, being able to afford organic green foods. I'm vegan, by the way, and such. You know, like, I mean, rich in another kind of sense, not just like there are so many I've seen, and you also perhaps, that just really have this facade online or Facebook, Instagram, just on social media. But in reality, they don't live this kind of lives. And it's, of course, not for us to judge, but it's just like they want to show off. And I'm kind of opposite. I really don't want to show off. And I wish to live a very fulfilling, rich life for myself, but not to show it off online. That will not be my main goal. And the party is not important as well. I know for many it is, but for me it wasn't always. Anyways, that is my thought. And regarding the story, I just feel very sorry, maybe for many fathers in China that are bearing with this as well. I don't feel sorry if one of those fathers did what I just mentioned in the video regarding just disappearing the girl and in order to have a boy, and now you are just bearing the consequences.